let's get started. I'm excited to have Scott, my good friend, and just a great coach. And we have a really good class, some valuable information how to get those exclusive listings, and that
hmm
is today. So I want to show you that next week you can kind of see I'm kind of learning how to use the presentation here.
Look at
Kind
that.
of studying back and forth. So next next month is we have the AI Advantage, the future proof your real estate career with Michael Thorne. And Michael Thorne is speaks all across the nation, just like in the U.S. and internationally, just like Scott does. So we're very excited about
hmm
him joining us next month. And just a reminder of our One Talks in November 4th. Scott Bergmann. Scott, have you been to the Philippines before?
I have not been to the Philippines. I was just telling Rob in June that I didn't even have a passport until I got excited to come see all of you, and I now have a passport. So besides a packed bag, I'm just counting the days.
Yeah, terrific. We're going to have a ball. We're going to have a blast. So,
I'm excited.
yes,
We're
looking
really
forward.
excited to see you, Scott.
It'd be great to have
I'm
you.
excited to see all of you as well. It'll be a fun time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me stop the screen share. You should be able to share
You
now,
bet. Okay.
and we
Screen
can move
share. I'm
forward.
going to go to my presentation. I'm going to hide all your faces this time. Awesome, 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 awesome. Well, welcome in. If you're just jumping in, if this is your first time seeing me, hi, my name is Coach Scott. Nice to meet you. If you've seen me before, you know how I work. I'm super excited to spend some time and talk about, honestly, and Pam said it, a very challenging topic. But before I get into that, I want to highlight what a unique experience it is to be able to jump on a coaching opportunity webinar across the world. And I got to give a huge thank you to all the Realty One Group offices in the Philippines, Rob, June, Pao, everybody involved, Pam. It's such a cool experience. And I can tell you, great leaders do things like that. So if you're able to even jump on this YouTube or jump on the webinar, it's such a cool experience to be able to jump in and help each other out, coach, train from across the world. And I love that real estate is bringing us together. I also want to highlight Michael Thorne, who Rob mentioned for next month's training. If you take a minute before now and May and just Google the guy. He is brilliant, an absolute AI pioneer. I spent some time talking closely with him. We exchanged Facebook messages here and there. There's a beginner level of AI that I love. He goes over, but he gets so in depth on how to actively use it in your day-to-day business. So please mark your calendars for the webinar in May as well. You'd be really missing out on something extra special if you didn't get to catch Michael Thorne. As Rob mentioned, I'm excited to see you all in November. So I don't know about you, but I didn't get into real estate to work for free. Anybody on the webinar jump in real estate for charity? I didn't, and I really hope you didn't either. And we're going to specifically talk about the difference between open and exclusive listings, and hopefully you never have to list another property for free again. So let's see here. Sorry, screen it. I'm going to hide your little screen share here. There we go. Okay, so I covered a little bit about me. I'm a broker owner of a Realty One Group, specifically Realty One Group Authentic in Omaha, Nebraska. I am a national real estate and AI coach for Realty One Group, as well as everywhere across the nation. I was just telling Rob in June, I just got back from Alaska. I've spoken Las Vegas twice, Miami, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, all over. Specifically speaking on business coaching and AI. I've been in rooms of 60 to 1,000. I started as a real estate professional, just like many of you. I wasn't even a broker at the time. And I scaled my individual business to have a team, and then my team to a brokerage. And now my brokerage feels like a family. all under amazing leadership to include Rob and every great leader I've been able to come in contact with. My hope is not much that I do is theoretical. I'm not a fluff guy. If you know me, I don't even like small talk, to be honest. I like big talk or no talk at all. And I truly want to be able to provide strategies and coaching that you can walk away and actually work. And I got to highlight the last time I was on this webinar. The last time I was on, I specifically talked about video. And don't get me wrong, I go a lot of places and talk about video. Video is besides AI, video is one of the most common topics that I get asked to train on and coach on. So I've been all over. And I have to give giant kudos to anybody who was on that webinar that posted a single video between then and now, because I have been keeping my eye on a few of you. And the video content that everybody decided to create has been phenomenal. I'm watching you. I'm watching the day in the lives. I'm watching the video tours. I'm watching the humorous ones. And man, you guys are doing an amazing job highlighting your day ins and day outs, your listings, and just what it's like to be a real estate professional and broker in your market. And I got to say from the bottom of my heart, I'm amazingly proud of you for doing that. So if you jumped in, got a video done, or you've been doing a video every single week since you saw me last, I'm crazy proud of you. Please keep it up and tap your friend on the shoulder and tell them how great video content actually is. Now, the average real estate professional works just as hard as anyone in the world. They just don't get paid like it. Show of hands, raise your hand in the chat if you have ever worked an open listing, put in the time, answered every single question, and you walked away with 0 pesos. Be vulnerable, say it in the chat. If you've ever worked an open listing to never get paid, I want you to raise your hand. My hope is that I will never see your hand raised again. That's hard. It's very difficult. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's easy. 84% of listings in your market are open listings. That means that most of you are potentially working for free most of the time. And that should scare you as a real estate professional and as a broker, because that scares me. I have a family like everybody else, and many of you on this webinar do too. I don't like the idea of working for free, and you didn't get into real estate to work for free. Now, this isn't bad luck. It's a system that you're operating in. It's common, but that doesn't mean that it's effective. And I really want to lean into understanding the difference and the power behind open and exclusive listings before we get into how do I get more exclusive listings. So let's really talk about the real problem with open listings. The more brokers myth. So sellers often believe that more brokers, more real estate professionals marketing their listing actually means more eyes. And it sounds logical, but honestly, it's wrong. With no guaranteed commission and no broker will spend a single peso advertising a property someone else might sell first. Now, what does a marketing plan very commonly look like for an open listing? If you get an open listing, or if you have peers that do this, the WhatsApp marketing plan, where they send a quiet WhatsApp message to about 20 to 30 of their closest real estate professionals and brokers, no portal, no website, no listing page, and that's their entire marketing plan. And that isn't maximum exposure. And I'd argue that's minimum exposure. And yet again, just because it's common does not mean it's effective. What it does is it gives an illusion of an army. The seller thinks that they have 10 people working for them. What they actually have is 10 people forwarding a message and hoping for the best. In the US, NAR cracked down on this, but you often have, it's very comparable to what we have here when we have in-office listings. And honestly, very rarely do you get an in-office listing, meaning they've signed something and they really only want it to go to one place. It very rarely sells. And as I was looking at statistics, very common comparable is the open listing. Now, if you were making the decision, if you were looking at this picture that I'm showing right here, you have the fisherman on the left, and he's got probably about 15 fishing poles of his own in his own boat with his own plan, all cast out into the same pond. And as you see, he's doing pretty well. I'm not much for fishing, but if I had to take a guess, he's probably going to feed his family tonight. Now, what about the picture on the right? Same pond, but you've got 10 different fishermen, all with one line, casting in the same pond. When you're comparing open listings to exclusive listings, I want this picture to pop up in your head. I want you to be the gentleman on the left, catching as much fish to bring home to the family as humanly possible. And not only is this an effective strategy for you, it's an effective strategy for your sellers. However, what you see on the right is most common. And I'm going to challenge you to get 5 to 10% better on the conversation about the power of getting exclusive with listings as compared to open listings. But I'm going to be honest with you. You've got to bring the value to the seller to make an exclusive listing even look palatable. The conversation has been waved off for so long that you may not even have had the opportunity or even had the idea to bring it up. And then the other half of that is, do you have the powerful tools necessary to stand out in a market and really sell and push the value of an exclusive listing? So I'm going to challenge you, anytime you're thinking of or even talking to a seller, maybe even show them this picture. Would you rather be the owner on the left or one of the owners on the right? And let me ask you a deeper question. Which fisherman do you want me to be? So the exposure myth. If 10 brokers, for example, have an open listing and each WhatsApp 30 different of their friends, most never put it online, $0 spent on advertising, or the office or maybe company that they're at doesn't have specialized accounts for exclusive listings, and then there's zero guaranteed commission. And the result ends up being minimum exposure dressed as maximum exposure. If I have more people working for me, it's got to be better, right? Very often, it's not. So in that given example, that means maximum of 30 contacts reached on a single property, which if you've ever taken a look at the Moody's or any other website, tracking the views, et cetera, of listings, very rarely does a property sell after 300 views. But when sellers make the decision to just have open listings, they're honestly just getting the sphere of influence that each broker has. And if you think about it, if more agents have more open listings, they're putting 1 to 2% effort on each one of those listings. $0 spent on advertising or portals to get the listing out there. And that ultimately comes down to zero accountability. Nobody owns the outcome. I can't imagine how it would be if they wanted to make a change in a listing. Now let's talk about what the seller thinks versus what is actually happening. What they think is 10 brokers are working hard for them, right? The property's everywhere online. They're getting the maximum exposure and multiple people competing to sell it fast. But is that really happening? Is that really what's happening? Come on, now you've had open listings before. You've also had sellers who have told you that they've listed with 8 or 10 other brokers. And I know in my heart that doesn't feel good. You've got competition to even get out there before you even get going, but they don't know any different. What's actually happened is you have 10 brokers or real estate professionals with zero incentive to act. They probably got 15 other open listings that may make them feel a tad bit better. But imagine the power you could put behind 2, 3, 4 exclusive listings for one or two different sellers. The property sits in private WhatsApp groups. Maybe 40 people have seen it, and nobody's spending a peso to market, and nobody's held accountable for any of the changes or getting the job done. The seller's not being served in that given example. They're being let down by a broken system, and they don't even know it yet. Now, here's the deal. This is your opportunity to learn how to change that. So what you have to understand when it comes to exposure, or you may already understand when it comes to exposure, is buyers look everywhere. If you think your website or your landing page is the only place that they're going, I regret to inform you that it's not. And you know as well as I do, when it comes to exposure, a text group is not maximum exposure. A WhatsApp group is not maximum exposure. One Facebook post is not maximum exposure. There's multiple sites that I know Realty One Group has, as well as that are available to agents in the market, either via paid or via specialized accounts, that you could be using to get maximum exposure on your listing. Now, specifically, we're going to go through them one by one because I think the power really comes in being able to advocate and show that, look, if I am able to work with you exclusively, here's my game plan. Here's the playbook that's actually going to give you the seller's advantage. And what I want is an agent to be able to walk a seller through the value in each one of these portals and systems available for them, be it with whether you're with the brand or you're looking into any of these services. And I will tell you that our specific brand has very strong relationships and accounts to help agents succeed with a lot of these platforms here. But let's go through the playbook that you should be leaning into to show sellers the value that you'll help them advertise their properties. So first is realty1group.ph, Philippines. That's the company's website. Now, what's cool about that specific website is on that website, if here in the States, we have Zillow, very comparable to your Lamoody's. And we as agents actually have to pay to have our listings go to the top of a page. Okay. Here it's called Zillow Showcase. Now, what's really cool about the specific page that Realty One Group Philippines actually built is if any agent here gets an exclusive listing, they get this, not only get this flashy badge at the top left of their listing photo, it makes it to the top of their specific page. So you never have to worry about your listing being buried in any of these websites, because this specific site will bring your listing all the way to the top. And I don't know about you, but I would love for all of my listings to make it to the top of any page. This site's amazingly easy to navigate. Now, when it comes to exposure, there's a statistic out there. Less than 78% of people scroll past the first 17% of a landing page. I'm going to say that again. Scroll past the first 17% of a landing page. What that means is if your listing or your content is not at the top of that page or very darn near close to the top of that page, there's a high likelihood that they're going to scroll past your listing if they don't see what they want in the first couple rows here. The best way to do that is pull out this website when you're sitting down with a seller, going through the difference between the benefits of an exclusive listing over an open listing, and showing them, look, just by signing an exclusive listing with me, your listing gets a special badge and goes to the top of our nationally recognized and marketed page. If you want to be sitting at the top of this landing page, the exclusive is the best way to do it. Now, when it comes to getting a listing out there, I really hope, and I'm sure Michael will talk about it next month. And actually, I looked at Elisa's listing before, and I got to give her giant kudos. Very descriptive in her listing here. Okay, Elisa, if you're on this webinar, fantastic, great job. I need everybody to understand the power of keywords. When I say keywords, somebody in the chat, tell me what a keyword is. June, if someone comments, go ahead and pull their comment out. If you know what a keyword is, I'm going to ask you to give in your own words, definition of a keyword. I want to see what people have to say. Waiting. But he's still there. Secret formula. Okay, secret formula. I love that. So, keyword. Sorry, Rob, I'm going to move you. A keyword. When you go and search on Google or chat for a specific term, like let's say you are looking for a luxury condo, or you're looking for a fully furnished room. Those are specific keywords. And if you're not paying attention to most listing websites, they're getting really keyword heavy, meaning the best way they could stay connected to AI is to make sure that the words that the consumer searched, they used to search in Google, and now they're searching in ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever they're using, are in the listing. It's becoming intensely powerful. You have to make sure that when you're doing your listing descriptions, especially for your exclusive listings, you're being as descriptive as humanly possible. And you need to describe the property in a way that a consumer would actually search for it. Don't use too much real estate language. Just because we understand what the lingo is behind the scenes does not mean buyers and sellers understand that language. You need to start describing your listing or writing your listing descriptions in a way that a consumer would search for it. You need to tell the story of that property. If if fully furnished is important in your specific condo, you need to make sure you put that in your condominium, because someone who's looking for a low hassle, easily move in ready property that is fully furnished is going to first type in fully furnished. Be very descriptive in your listing descriptions on all your property listings, because you're only going to help yourself in the keyword space. If you're putting 3-4 sentences in your listing descriptions, you're really hurting your seller's opportunity to be sought after when it comes to a keyword search. Does that make sense? Now, on top of that, and I want you to write down these 3 letters. If you have a pen, a paper, if you're looking at your phone, if you have chalk in your hand, it doesn't matter to me. I need you to write down these 3 letters. CTA. CTA. A CTA is a call to action. I hope I'm not the first place that you're hearing a call to action. A call to action is what you want that individual, that consumer, that buyer to do in order to engage with you. And I would tell you, I see a lot of listings missing a direct call to action. The human brains, okay, make decisions easiest when the decision takes them 3 seconds or less. 3 seconds or less. When you are thinking about a call to action, the call to action that you ask for in your listing descriptions need to take that consumer less than 3 seconds. So something as simple as WhatsApp me for a private tour is an amazing call to action, because a lot of the integrated listing sites have the ability for you to put your WhatsApp number in your listing descriptions or in your listing and hyperlink it. Emails, Facebook. As you notice on the far right here, there's a form that would take a consumer less than 3 seconds to fill out, because I guarantee when they click on these buttons here, the information is auto-filled from their cell phone, and all they do is click submit. So Elisa's done a great job with her listing description. It's an exclusive listing. She's showing her true value. She's got her calls to actions on the right here. Please take notes on how you can market your exclusive listing stronger than any other open listing out there. Does that make sense? Now, this is one amazing platform offered by the brand here. But yet again, exclusive listings, go to the top of the page. You need to be very descriptive in your listing descriptions. You need to have call to actions. You need to have simple ways for a consumer to click and engage with you in your call to action. Okay, so exclusive listings, as I mentioned, get priority. Now, on the back end, the company's done an amazing job at designing this website, and they last reported they're getting 5 to 6 buyer leads per week, and they're climbing because they're being very specific and thoughtful with their SEO and their AI investment. Consumers are going to both SEO, Google, and they're going to AI to start searching for properties. They're searching for their agents there, they're searching for properties there, and they're putting in what they want in a property. If you're watching how websites are changing for listings, they're now taking away a lot of the manual filters. Remember, you could click the little buttons and you have to select like 9 different options to get the exact property you want. If you notice, a lot of platforms are leaning into what they're calling AI searches, and they really just want the consumer to describe the property, and then they will throw a list of those properties in front of the consumer. So I'm not kidding when I tell you need to be very descriptive in your listings, and you need to be describing the properties how a buyer would search for it. Okay, so pinky promise, when you write your potentially AI generated listing descriptions, you're going to ask your AI platform how to write that description in a way that buyers are actually searching for. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, proper start. So yet again, and here's our very own Pam on the right. She's done a great job. So for Realty One Group Philippines has a company paid account that's free when you get an exclusive listing. So they have a special paid company account. Agents get access just by going with their listings and going exclusive. No extra cost, no extra effort. I don't know if where you're at now offers that, but you want to be able to get your exclusive listings as many places as humanly possible. And let's go over to Proper Star here. So if, like I mentioned, go ahead. I had it open right before I jumped on Proper. Nope. I want to go into, my hyperlink wasn't working. I'm going to go into the Philippines. Let's see what we got here. Okay. So yet again, you want to be able to get your listing into sites that are actually being used. ProperStar is amazingly popular in your market. So imagine the value when you can sit in front of a seller and say, well, you know, you could go the open listing route. You could continue to list with 10 other brokers. Has any of them walked you through what their actual marketing plan is? Can you tell me the sites that your property is currently listed on? Do you know how powerful of a question that actually is? Can you name 10 sites that your property is actively listed on? If you can't name 10 sites by the time I walk out of this door, okay, that's not okay. You can't tell me your listing is getting maximum exposure and then not be able to list off at least a few websites that it's currently listed on. But when you go with open listings with 10 other brokers, what's the incentive? They're not sure if your property is going to sell. They just sent it out to 25 or 30 people. If you go exclusive with me, I'm going to walk you through every single website that I'm connecting your property to. And what's really cool specifically about ProperStar is it's got a ton of what they call syndicate platforms, right? Trickle-down platforms. And the network is huge. 97 different portals, 62 countries, and 105 million potential buyers. If you're going to take a screenshot of any slide or any moment in this presentation to put into your listing presentation for exclusive listings, please screenshot this page, because the level of influence that ProperStar actually has in the market is unheard of. There's listings being pushed out any and everywhere. Wall Street Journal, Zoopla, other countries, doesn't matter. When, as I mentioned, with Realty One Group Philippines, you get access and get your exclusive listing listed on ProperStar just by being able to have that conversation and get more exclusive listings. You have to have a plan, a marketing plan for your listing that separates you from other agents to even have the ability to ask for exclusivity. I can understand sellers saying out loud, well, if you can't do something extra special, if you can't show me what you can do that's different than those 10 other people, why would I ever change? You have to have the ability to show them tools, system, and resources that make your life easier and gets their property out to 50 different websites by just having a really solid exclusive listing presentation and showing them the network of websites that you could use to get their property out there and on the market. Not to mention that listings are automatically translated in 20 different languages, and agents actually get a dashboard with listing statistics and seller reports they can share directly with the seller. You can keep your seller up to date consistently using the tools and resources from ProperStar. Now, Lamudi, right? Amazingly popular. This specific account, right? Agent paid account. If you get a exclusive listing, in my mind, if I'm going to invest my time into a listing, it makes sense that I invest some marketing dollars into that listing too. And you don't think as an agent that I'm going to separate my exclusive listings from my open listings? You've got someone who made a promise to me and someone who made a maybe to me. That's the biggest difference. Now, think about that as an agent. Seller, do you want me to make a promise to you, or do you want me to make a maybe? Because the 10 others that have that property currently listed, I'm going to tell you, before I walked in this door, I checked the 3 most popular sites that we put all of our exclusive listings on. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't see your listing on a single one. And that scares me. But you called me because you want to get your property listed and you're thinking about going exclusive. And I'm the one that people call when they want to get their home sold. So make sure you have the Moody in your playbook. Obviously, it's very popular for buyers, one of the most popular sites, and very comparable to our Zillow here. Over 15 million users visited and recorded. Buyers spend an average of 10 minutes per visit. 10 minutes per visit. Buyers are scrolling through properties swiping, 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 swiping. So if you're not putting your listing, you specifically maybe your exclusive listing on La Moody's, and yes, it's a little bit of pesos, but the network opportunity, the exposure that your listings get, unheard of. And so far, we've walked through 3 different websites that are going to help you stand out in a listing presentation. And honestly, you should be showing the value of your exclusive listing process. And honestly, your exclusive listing process should be very different than your open listing process. And you should be comfortable having the conversations between the two. Just because you had a webinar that showed you tools and resources doesn't mean that sellers are going to wake up tomorrow and want to do more exclusive listings. You have to be the difference. Just because something is common does not make it efficient. And I'd argue that the more common something gets, the less efficient it actually gets. The world is looking for a little bit of a change. They're looking for sellers are craving for their properties to be sold in a busy market. What they're not seeing is the value difference between an open listing and an exclusive listing. And you've got to have systems, tools, and a company behind you that backs you in being able to show the value and get exclusivity in the process. I'm not going to lie and say that conversation is easy. That's not a comfortable conversation. It's not comfortable because 10 of your peers have already said yes to a lower opportunity. So now, with that being said, there's your difference maker. What if you were the agent that just once, when you got into a conversation, told yourself, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and show the value of my exclusive listing process. And I'm comfortable in myself and my tools and my resources to be able to say out loud, you know what, if I have 4 other exclusive listings, I'm the type of agent that I work the hardest when I make a promise to the seller and that seller makes a promise to me. I'm not a maybe agent. I don't want a maybe seller. So if you're not ready to go exclusive, I'm not sure if we're ready to work together. And it takes a really confident and powerful agent to be able to sit back and say that. But I'll tell you right now, that's the differentiator. The ability to say, have a plan, walk in with a plan, walk a seller through a plan, show them how important that plan is and the exposure you can get them. And you've also got to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and say to yourself, I'm going to be okay if this one listing, if I make the ask and this one listing doesn't agree with me. So 1, you've got to have the value first before you walk out and start asking for exclusive listings, because your process has to look different than the normal open listing process. Does that make sense? Now, on the back end, Realty One Group is a worldwide brand. There's no better example than me sitting on this webinar right now from Omaha, Nebraska, talking to some amazing brokers and real estate professionals out there in the Philippines. And what's cool about how large and connected our brand actually is our realtyonegroup.com website connects to all the countries that are in. And if you don't know much about our brand, we're known for being all over the world. We have a campaign that is Paint the World Gold. We're in, something above 30 different countries. Now, what we have on the back end is a system called OneSuite that feeds into our worldwide website. And so what OneSuite does is you enter a listing into OneSuite and it feeds automatically to realtyonegroup.com, which is our national website. So that's a global website all around the world that if someone's if you've got OFWs investing back home, foreign nationals, buyers from the US, Canada, Australia, they all get exposure just by listing it through OneSuite and that gets fed automatically into realtyonegroup.com. And there's not a lot of brokerages around that can offer that level of exposure when it comes to getting your listing out there to not just your local market, but the entire world. That's the benefit of being with such an amazing brand that makes an extra effort to spread themselves out and paint the world gold. So far, we've walked through 4 different tools and resources, platforms that you could be packaging up in your exclusive listing presentation to be able to have those tough conversations. Now, the before and after, the open listing effort. This is what most open listing brokers deliver when they don't bother to post anything, and the open listings when you see a bunch of blurry photos. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a listing with a bunch of blurry photos and someone's thumb maybe in the bottom right of the picture, and you can tell they have taken those photos from their phone. No description, or maybe like 2 to 3 sentences worth of a description. Nobody's reading that. They don't got nothing to read. The listing description should tell the listing story. And now that you've sat in on this webinar, you know you need to actually tell the story from the consumer's mind, from the buyer's mind. Because right now, SEO and AI is getting smart enough to be asking consumers, tell us what you want in your next property and we'll find it for you. So if your listing descriptions, like I've said, are not written as consumer facing, you're really dropping the ball. No call to action. Remember, your call to action should take that consumer less than 3 seconds to respond to. We saw Elisa's where she had her WhatsApp link to it, she had her email link to it, and she had a form on the right, all just by taking her exclusive listing, getting a great description in her listing, and putting it on the realtyonegroup.ph website. That's automation. That's an amazing system to have 3-4 calls to action on one listing. And not to mention, they often don't put no WhatsApp link or nothing at all. The exclusive listing standard, here's your new standard. After this webinar, if you get the opportunity to have that tough conversation, get yourself an exclusive listing, you need to make sure always, 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 you have at least 6 or more bright, clear, professional photos. Don't be afraid to use AI-assisted compelling descriptions. Now, make sure you adhere to all your broker's needs and rules, and don't forget to ask it to write the description in a way that consumers search for properties. And one of your easy calls to action could be for a private tour, just WhatsApp me, and make sure you have your WhatsApp button on your agent profile on all of those sites. They often have in your profile section where you can link all your social media, maybe your Instagram, maybe your Facebook, maybe your WhatsApp link. If you can walk into a listing presentation and present the clear difference of the work that gets done for an exclusive listing, the exposure that gets done for an exclusive listing versus an open listing, that's going to help you stand out and become that fisherman we saw on the left. You're going to be the fisherman that sits in their own boat in the same pond as everybody else, but you've got 50 lines out. You've got 50 lines out catching new buyers for your listings, new buyers for other listings, because you're working efficiently, because you're backed by amazing tools and resources, and you're following the new exclusive listing standard. But before all of that, the tools and resources are great. They are. But they don't get all of the job done, right? You've got to put yourself in the mindset. You've got to believe in yourself deep enough that you're worth the value of exclusivity. It's challenging when it's common. You are going to have to go against the grain. You are going to have to role play with your broker or your team leader and have those conversations on the objections that you may get. And I have a couple objections and a few more slides. But in real estate, you can't be afraid of rejection. When it comes down to what we call prospecting, lead generation, prospecting is really just digging for gold. And when you are digging for gold, think about it. 99% of digging for gold is getting dirt out of the way. Think about it. 99% of prospecting or digging for gold is getting dirt out of the way. But if you don't pick up the shovel, if you fear rejection and you refuse to pick up the shovel, you're just going to stand there and look at dirt. One scoop at a time, one ask at a time, one question at a time gets you moving the dirt out of the way. And you know as well as I do, there's going to be more dirt than gold. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't stop digging. That you got to be confident enough to pick up the shovel. Now, phone over everything, okay? Don't get me wrong. I know we are in a text message world. There's a lot of authenticity in a phone conversation. And you've got to be able to have those one-on-one conversations and begin the conversation of the power of exclusive listings and what you will do if that seller gives you exclusivity over the phone before you can ever walk into somebody's door and have that conversation. If you're using any AI whatsoever, you can open up your AI platform, be it ChatGPT or anything else. And if you haven't seen it yet, and it does come with the pro version, the paid version, there's a button you can click to actually talk to your AI. Has anybody on the webinar ever used it to role play? Kudos to you if you have. What's stopping you From opening up the AI platform that you use, clicking on that talk to AI button that they all have now and saying, I need you to imagine you are selling a condo. I am wanting to sell the value of my exclusive listing process. Here is my process, and let's role play so you can help me work through objections. If you did that before any of your prospecting calls or any of your listing appointments, how much better would your conversation be? If you're going to fail in the practice room. Fail behind the phone before you ever walk in that door. And I guarantee you have people that care about you that would be more than happy to do a little role play with you. That doesn't change how scary it is. Everything new is scary, and everything worth going after is also scary. But my biggest fear in life isn't failure. It's regret. I fear regret, and I fear it so deeply that I believe there's a thin line between comfortability and complacency. Your market is comfortable with open listings, but comfortability creates complacency. You didn't get into real estate to be complacent. This is not the industry for a complacent individual. Make sure you've got your pitch ready. You've got your value of the resources and tools in your presentation. And it's not magic. You've got to sit in front of somebody and be able to have a tough conversation about, hey, I know this is new, but can I show you the value of what this looks like if you give me the opportunity to go exclusive with you? So here's the 5-step framework on how to go start having those conversations. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If you're in a listing appointment and you're doing more talking than listening, you're already behind. When you're sitting in a listing appointment, you want to dig deep to the motivating factor on why that person is sitting across from you. Every agent out there can talk about criteria. They can talk about the number of beds and the number of baths in a property, and they should be able to run numbers. I mean, those are bare bones, bare minimum skill sets of an agent. But you know what skill set most agents don't have? The ability to truly listen. The ability, my favorite question to ask at a listing appointment, and it's going to sound silly. My favorite question to ask at a listing appointment is, why am I here? And what's funny is when I ask that question, it almost stops that seller dead in their tracks. And I often hear them say, well, we're looking to sell our property. No, I know that part. Why? Well, we're moving. Right. But why? Well, we're relocating. Oh, awesome. Why? Well, he just got a job that he's been trying to go after for the last 5 years, and he finally got promoted. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Congratulations. You put in 5 years to get where you're going now. I'm so glad you called me. Now, there's power in understanding people's why, but you don't get people's why by talking too much. Don't get me wrong, if you don't know this yet, I do like to talk. But if you ever sat as a fly on the wall in a listing presentation, you would hear me talk the least amount that I ever talk because I'm there to listen. Now, you have to be able to ask the questions to get deeper with sellers to understand their motivating factor. Can I give you another little hint, another little trick of the trade? Does anybody on the webinar know what I mean when I talk about mirroring? If I were to bring up the concept of mirroring when it comes to body language, what do I mean by mirroring? If you know what I'm talking about, drop it in the chat. I'm really intrigued to see what people believe that mirroring actually is. Anybody? Do we got any? I can check the chat. Let's see what we got. Mirroring the client's energy. Martin Diaz, I'm going to give you a huge high five when I make it out there to the Philippines. 100% right. So now, if you want to have fun, you want to win more listing appointments and have fun at the same time, it all starts with your local coffee shop. I'm not going to tell you to walk around, shake hands, hand out your business card to everybody in the coffee shop. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do because you do it already. Don't act like you don't. When you walk into a restaurant or a coffee shop, you look around. You sit down at your table and you look around and tell me that you can't take a look at the couples or the people at tables together and tell me you can't point at one and tell me if their relationship's working out. Tell me you can't tell when someone's on a first date. Tell me you can't tell when someone's on a bad date. What's really interesting about humans, and we know this, communication is 80% nonverbal. It's 80% body language. The next time you walk into a coffee shop, look around and first ask yourself the question, do these two people look engaged with each other? Do they look like they're actually paying attention? And if the answer is yes, how many of them are sitting in the exact same physical position as the other person? That's mirroring. My background is actually child psychology. Did you know that? I didn't talk about that in the beginning, did I? My background's in social work. And in child psychology, you learned very deeply that children actually mirror, or we call it copying, right? Copycat. They copy each other as a form of play even before they're verbal. Because that breeds familiarity and commonality, and that never goes away. And as adults, we often mirror people, even if we know we're doing it, we can't control it when we're actually paying attention. Now, when you walk into a listing appointment to have a conversation, and maybe you challenge yourself to ask the question, why am I here? The first thing I want you to do is stop talking, and I want you to physically mirror that person's position. And here's what's interesting. When they make a slight move, I want you to move too. If they lean a little bit, I want you to lean a little bit. I'm going to tell you right now, you actually already do this. What's really fun to do is to do that in public settings, to watch people do that. But then when you sit down with people for the first time, I want you to physically mirror them the second they sit down or stand up or however you're meeting them. One, you've already been doing it. And the cool thing about a superpower is even though you know you have it, no one can stop it. And then when you get into the conversation with somebody, when you're about to take hold of the conversation, when you're about to explain the value of exclusive listings versus open listings, I want you to do one thing. I want you to move just a little bit. I want you to change one position with your body. And then physically watch as you're talking if that consumer, that seller moves too. If they move with you, you got them. This is one of the most fun games to play, and nobody talks about this in the world of real estate. They do it more in psychology, but I want you to challenge yourself to be out in public, watch people mirror each other, and just practice that skill day to day when you're working with people, specifically on listing appointments. Now, one, when it's your turn to go, when it's your turn to take hold of the conversation, you move your body a little bit and you start explaining the exclusive listing process and why it's very different than what the 10 other brokers did before when their property couldn't sell. You need to be able to break that exposure myth. You need to be able to bring up the example of that fisherman. The fisherman in the boat with 50 lines and the 10 fishermen out there on the same pond. And simply ask that seller, in that given example, which fisherman would you want to be? And let me ask him, which fisherman would you want me to be? Here's my exclusive listing process. Here's the 5 or 10 lines I'm going to cast out there for your listing and your listing only. I do this with all my exclusive listings and only my exclusive listings. You've got to be able to show your stack. Now, here are the tools and resources I do that. I use this website, realty1group.philippines. I use Moody's. I use this site. I use that site, and it connects it to over 50 sites across the world. The last broker that came in to have a conversation, did they walk you through all the websites that your property is going to be in? Would it make sense if I actually wrote an amazing listing description and sent it to you first? I want you to read it. I want you to imagine you are buying your house again. Is that how you would search for your property? Is that the story you want your property to be told? If you're reading your listing descriptions and they don't feel like that, I need you to rewrite them because I care about you. And last but not least, be honest. The honest fact of the matter is this is an investment for both sides. It's an investment for that seller to go exclusive with you, even though it might be a tad bit challenging and new. But it's also got to be an investment for you to invest the time, the energy, and a few pesos to getting the property marketed the right way. And you've got to have the right team, company, and platforms to be able to help you do that. Does that make sense? So, what if I get objections? Well, let's talk about them. Well, doesn't more brokers mean more exposure? No, flip it around. With a guaranteed commission, no one gives without a guaranteed commission, does anybody ever really give their 100%? Most brokers, and you can even pull up a few websites that their listings aren't on, or maybe you could be like Pam and pull open a few websites where your exclusive listings actually are on and say, I was searching for your property. I didn't quite see it. Last time you listed a few months ago, I was looking all up and down, and it doesn't look like those brokers did any sort of marketing or exposure for you. Let me ask, did they even plug any pesos to it? Well, when it comes to my exclusive listings, I actually invest my time, energy, and money to help your property get exposure. How about this is just how I've always done it. Are we in a world of this is how I've always done it? We're not in a time more different in history than how I've always done it. There's no such thing as always done it anymore. That's been shattered by AI and where the world's at now. So point blank, if this is how it's always done, you have people in front of you that just aren't ready to understand that the world needs a change. And just because that's how it's always done doesn't make it effective, right? Just because it's common doesn't make it effective. Bad choices don't get better over time. I almost wanted to add a hallelujah after that one. Real estate professionals who ask for exclusive get them in the market right now, every week. Why aren't you? You have agents out there that are getting exclusive listings because they're taking the time, energy, and effort to show the difference between their plan and an open listing plan. They have the tools and the resources and the leaders and the companies behind them that they feel confident, and they feel confident enough in themselves to make that ask. Yeah, but what if it doesn't sell? Well, with an exclusive, I have every reason to make sure it sells because I only get paid when you do. Then walk through your stack and let your proof speak. You grab one exclusive listing and you sell that listing. Now you've got proof. But you do have to put the time, energy, and effort to separate yourself and have tough conversations to get exclusive listings. Quick reminder, if you do get an exclusive listing, or just in general, make sure you're following these rules. Get quality photos, bright, clear, showing the best features. They can't be dark. They can't be blurry. They can't be two shots staring at a doorknob. Okay, that's not going to sell the property. I'm all for using a little AI to generate your descriptions, but make sure you're writing those descriptions in a way that a consumer would search for them. Because if you notice how all third-party sites are navigating, they're moving to a more inclusive search as compared to the standard filters that we're so common and so used to. Make sure you have your WhatsApp or call to action inside your description. That's what's going to get them to make that move you want them to make in less than three seconds to make that connection with you. And then make sure you have your WhatsApp and all your social media handles on all of your listing profiles on any site that you choose to market properties on. Make sure your photo is visible, and make sure you have really simple and easy ways for consumers to engage with you in a way that makes your life easier and makes it easier on them. Now, the real challenge. So a real estate professional with 150 open listings, 15 open listings, and 0 commissions is not running a business. That's closer to a volunteer program. You don't need 100 listings to sell a single property. You need one exclusive done right, and that beats 10 open listings every single time. So I'm not going to sit back and say my challenge to you is easy. But real estate isn't maybe simple, but it's not easy. You're in one of the toughest industries in the world. And what I'm asking you to do, what I'm challenging you to do, what I'm challenging you to seek the value in is having just a little bit of a different conversation than you're used to. But if it doesn't start with you, and if it doesn't start with one ask, where does it actually start? You see exclusive listings out there right now. Agents are out there getting them because they're showing their value proposition, and you should have the tools, resources, and platforms to show your value proposition. So with that, I want to take some time. I want to walk through the exclusive listing process, and I want to walk through the difficulties in the conversation, as well as provide you tools, resources, and examples of how you can market an exclusive listing. So with that, I'm so thankful for you guys being on the call today. I hope you took just a little bit from today's presentation. And I'm going to go ahead and just open up the chat and stop sharing my screen and open it up for questions.
That is a powerful talk. That's very powerful. One thing is, in the Philippine market, we might say, well, there's a lot of listings. Buyers are what is less, and that's where the demand is at. But when you have an exclusive listing marketed right, that will create buyers for you. And
Mm-hmm.
also other agents and other brokers will sell your property for that commission. So
Mm-hmm.
there's an old saying, and I'm not sure if it's in the Philippines, but Scott, you and I have heard it way before you or even myself was in real estate. It was always you need to have listings to last. So in the
Yep.
Philippines, you need to have exclusive listings to last on the secondary market.
That's a good one. Yeah, I love that. I love
June
that.
Ray, June Ray, do you have any questions on or any insight?
Well, one thing that I really like, and this is like through my personal success, circle prospecting and handling objection
Mm-hmm.
handling is really difficult, right? But
Mm,
when you're with your client, with you and your seller, um, you need to be ready. And for me, as my personal success, and I just want to share it, using AI, as you've mentioned, Scott, is really effective, right? I don't have somebody
mm-hmm.
to work with and do the role play, and it's not easy. But
Mm-hmm.
use I and you set up that way, like hey, role play with me. Let's say for example, with how to win more business using exclusive listings.
Mm-hmm.
It really helps me a lot. With what I'm doing with circle prospecting. So it's the same thing with agents and brokers. If you don't have
Mm-hmm.
somebody that you can do role play with, you can use AI. To
Mm-hmm.
set up.
Yeah.
And you can even ask AI to be easy on you, to be hard on you.
Yes.
Get in a group, grab your friends and some peers, and pull them in a group, and then ask each other questions afterwards. How do you think you did? I'm you're. I've seen a couple of these platforms roll out, but there's AI platforms out there in sales worlds that will allow you to role play on the sales floor with an AI and then grade you afterwards, which I think is super, super cool. But it's in everybody's hands. So I love that. The conversation's not easy. It's not easy because it's different. And that should excite you. If you go out and get yourself one single exclusive listing between now and the next webinar, that's success. I love that. That's awesome. And yes, circle prospecting for sure. Um, Being able to make contact and show your value over the phone, especially when you're circle prospecting. I mean, there's not a more challenging route to go than circle prospecting when they maybe never talked to them before.
Scott, you might not realize this. I might have told you. I don't recall, but we're fortunate to have June Ray with us. Is June Ray worked 12 years for some of the top teams in the United States, and
Oh, wow.
he was constantly. I mean, his job, his function, because those teams, as you know, like with your team, you invest money to generate leads. You get high quality listings to generate
Mm-hmm,
those
mm-hmm.
leads, and June Ray would contact them. And and so my question to June Ray would be, what is the best way to get an appointment or to explain exclusive listing or to influence or sell someone? Is it over a WhatsApp message or a phone call?
Oh, it's definitely a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
There's no better way to do it over the phone call. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I 100%. And challenge yourself. And the thing about phone calls, and I know it's such a great topic, but challenge yourself to get in the weeds, not necessarily in the conversation, but the metrics themselves. If if you keep somebody on for 2 minutes and the next person on for 4 minutes, that's progress. And the best way to do that isn't by you talking. It's by allowing them to talk. And if you ever want to see a master at work, get a cup of coffee with Rob. And he's absolutely masterful in making you feel like the most important person in the world. And then 45 minutes later, you realize you shared your entire life. You're like, that man said maybe 9 words, but I don't know what it is about him. It's just been a good conversation. But he's absolutely masterful in asking the right questions to keep you talking about a topic. And what's cool, think about the energy expenditure difference. He can sit back and he can A good agent, a good sales professional is listening for keywords. We talked about keywords in the SEO world. Face to face, you're listening for keywords in conversations. So when someone says, oh yeah, I did list it last time, but you don't get me wrong, you're listening to the rest of what they're saying, but you just heard that they had it listed before. Oh, June, you said that you had it listed before, but can you tell me a little more about that? And then just open the can. And what's amazing is you'll sit back, you look at your phone, you've been on the phone for 27 minutes and you haven't said much at all. But at that point, they'll turn around and say, you know what? Why don't you come by actually and talk to me a little bit more about that? So if you're ever wondering how to get better at prospecting, it has nothing to do with you talking more and has everything to do with you asking the right questions and listening more.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And Scott, the other thing is, I really enjoy every time I speak with you is some ideas come about things here, and I'm kind of putting myself on the spot here with everyone watching. So I thought of some ideas, and I hopefully you don't say no. So, but I thought of some cool projects or cool ideas for future primetime events, and one would be perhaps how to build a listing presentation and maybe do it in two pots or two like a prime time and a follow-up or prime time to the next prime time where you go through and here's an idea of a listing presentation, and then we challenge everyone to go work on their listing presentation. And then everybody sends in the listing presentations for exclusivity, exclusive listings. And then we share it with everyone so everyone can learn what everyone's using.
That's good.
And the other one is these listings and proper marketing are going to bring buyers. And I believe that was something that's very, very effective. 20 years ago in the States, 10 years ago in the States, it wasn't this way. But a buyer presentation.
Oh yeah.
Would you be open to doing some
Oh,
more?
100%.
Oh,
Yeah, and like it always happens, you have an idea and then I have another pinball off of it. It'd be really cool is I'd also challenge the group coming back that want to continue this conversation, which I hope you do. If the objections you're afraid of, I'm going to challenge you to write those down and bring those back because I guarantee other people on the call have that same fear, that same objection. And I also guarantee that someone else on the call has a response to it. So I'd be super interested if you didn't bring your fears because that's really what you've been through objections before. We've all been through rejection, but write those objections down because then you can build your listing presentation around 2, 3, 4, 5 objections. Imagine being able to outline an objection before they ever say it out loud. Well, you're probably thinking, or you might be thinking, or one of the things that I hear on people that don't do this is, and man, you're answering their questions that they're thinking in their head, which lends expertise. So I love that. I love that a lot, actually.
Excellent. All right, we're going to put it on the books. So
I like it.
Let's check the chat board here. Pam says this is challenging, but a good start establishing the confidence to not just clients, but the whole industry.
But to the whole industry, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, the last thing I want to leave everyone with: if you're getting when you get a referral from a U.S. agent for a listing, it's exclusive. And if you have a little trouble with the seller, that referral agent will help you because they expect to get paid. If it's a buyer from Canada or the United States, they're going to work with you. Or if it's a buyer or I'm sorry, if it's a seller from the United States and they want to list it and they have a property in the Philippines, it's exclusive. They're just been trained for it. They just know it's exclusive, and that's first generation Filipinos. They'll just know, oh, it's exclusive listing. It's an assumption.
Jobin's got a comment in the chat, and I love this. The industry here needs to change, and we can start from the brokerage. If you're still on the call and you think the industry needs to change, look, you're the change. My hope is you grab one little piece of today's conversation and presentation, you bring that into your world. I don't care if you've never asked for an exclusive listing ever, and you make one ask for exclusivity between now and next month, that's progress. That's progress. Tell your friend, grab somebody on the call too and say, look, I want to make one ask. Can you do it with me? I'm going to ask one time for an exclusive listing. I'm going to try to show my value. And if I get turned down, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. I might have a drink afterwards, but that's fine. And I'm going to get back on the saddle and ask for another one.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, I've really enjoyed it. This was a fabulous presentation, and it really got me excited. I kind of want to go out and list some houses.
Go get them. There you go.
Got me fired up. June Ray, it's always good seeing you. And
yes, thank you so much.
And thanks for everyone for joining us.
Awesome.
And
thanks, Joby. Thanks, fam.
Great Monday.
Scott,
awesome.
nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you guys again. Thanks so much. Go get them. Bye.